any poll will wake the students up, and that's not that they're sleepy all the time, but sometimes they are. And so when you create that moment of engagement, that's just really useful in and of itself. On a daily basis, I can check in on, are they understanding this? Are they engaged? I do use it to what I say, I gauge their engagement with the reading. And the students even will tell me to my face that if they're not held accountable in some way, they typically won't do the reading if they don't have to. So every day, this semester, every day has 3 multiple choice, I call them formal polls, and they, if they've done the reading at all, if they've, engaged with the reading at a pretty basic level, they should be able to answer these. They're not picky. Why would you use in a smaller class when you can just engage with them face to face, which I still do. It's not like, no, we can't talk. No, we're not going to do that anymore. No, of course we do. But I use it to keep everybody engaged all the time, because in any class, you're going to have the same people who are going to try to participate all the time. Especially in a stats class, it's very useful because they can all ring in if I'm checking to see if they're getting something, and they don't have to expose whether they understand it or not. And there's a lot of anxiety with the stats class, and so I can either set the questions to anonymous, or I can, it doesn't show who's answering what in class. So it really allows them to see that, wow, not everybody else in the class understands this either. So kind of eases that anxiety. So not all students are ready or willing to, especially in the 182-person class. You're not going to have very many students who want to speak in an auditorium. And so, yeah, it does allow them a voice. And when they see either the word cloud or the narratives, and then I can, pick somebody's out, and I'll ask them, okay, whoever said this was a really good idea. Can you talk a little bit more about it? Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't, but it allows that kind of interaction even in a big class. So that's worked really, really well. So yeah, especially in the big class, it creates more of a sense of community. And so, for example, I sent an email out to my class yesterday, and I said, here are the averages for the last 4 days, and there's been a precipitous drop in their scores on the formal polls. And we're in April, and I kind of sent out a motivational email about, let's turn this around. So it shows them that I'm watching out for them, and that and if there is an individual student, for example, in the big class who's consistently performing poorly on this, I can notice that sooner rather than later. Not at the end of the semester when I'm ready to submit their final grade. So it prevents some students from falling through the cracks. What I'm going to do next time I do it is I'm going to ask them a series of questions on the first day, kind of demographic questions or about their backgrounds. And then in Poll Everywhere, you can use those to run, for example, crosstabs. So, okay, here's how the men in the class answered this, and here's how the women in the class answered this. And so that I'm really excited about. I did just a little bit of that last semester in a smaller class. That doesn't really work because you just don't have the numbers. But I'm going to make that a much larger part. Do in-class data analysis, which I think will make things more lively. As I said, I won't use it in seminar. I don't think that'll work. But I can't really imagine any other class that I wouldn't use it in from now on. So am I an addict? Perhaps. But I think it really has added to my teaching in some interesting ways, and kind of livens things up.